The distress signal. The message came through on an emergency frequency that hadn't been used in decades. Commander Elena Vasquez frowned as the signal pulsed across her command console aboard the Earth monitoring station Artemis. She adjusted her headset, her dark eyes narrowing as she focused on the faint transmission originating from the direction of the Procyon system, nearly 11.5 light-years from Earth. Analysis confirms it's an authentic Astrali distress beacon. Commander, reported Lieutenant Park, the communications specialist. Signal degradation suggests it was sent approximately 7 days ago. Elena's expression hardened. The Astrali were one of the first alien species to welcome humanity into the greater galactic community when Earth had developed viable FTL travel 30 years prior. Gentle, luminescent beings with translucent skin and a society built on knowledge exchange and artistic achievement, they had shared technologies and cultural insights that accelerated humanity's development among the stars. "Play it," she ordered. The holographic display flickered to life, showing a slender Astrali, its skin flashing with distress patterns of red and yellow. Fear signals that Elena had never seen from their peaceful allies before. "This is High Scholar Zenith of the Astrali Confederation. We are under attack by Kryvax Imperium forces. 3 colony worlds have fallen. Our homeworld defenses are failing. They show no mercy. Civilian centers targeted first. Our people have no military to speak of. Please, to any allied worlds who hear this, we need immediate intervention. The Imperium strikes without warning or provocation. The transmission dissolved into static. Relay this to Earth Defense Command immediately," Elena said, her voice steady despite the churning in her stomach. "Priority Alpha." Within 2 hours, Elena found herself in a secure holo-conference with Earth's Defense Council, along with Admiral Jackson Way, commander of Earth's 5th Fleet. The Admiral's weathered face looked grim as intelligence officers presented what little they knew of the Kryvax Imperium. "The Kryvax evolved on a low-gravity world with minimal natural threats," explained Intelligence Director Sharma. "However, they've developed an expansionist ideology focused on conquering what they term soft species, civilizations that didn't evolve with natural defenses or aggressive tendencies. Like the Astrali," Elena added. "Precisely. The Astrali evolved in a perfectly balanced ecosystem without predators or natural disasters. They never needed to develop our kind of survival instincts or military technology." Admiral Wei leaned forward, his cybernetic right eye glowing faintly as it processed the tactical displays. "And what about us? Have the Kryvax encountered humans before?" "No, Admiral. Our territories have never overlapped. They'd been expanding from the Galactic East, while we've been focusing on Western expansion. Then they don't know what they're in for," Wei said, his voice cold and flat. Council Chairwoman Diallo, a tall woman from New Lagos, frowned. "The Astrali are 11 light-years away. This isn't our war." "With respect, Madam Chairwoman," Elena interjected, "the Astrali provided us with their gravitational field manipulation theories when we first entered space. Without them, we wouldn't have our current shield technology or agricultural domes. They're the reason Earth's population is no longer facing food shortages." A moment of silence followed as the council members exchanged glances. More importantly, Admiral Wei added, "Intelligence suggests the Kryvax systematically eliminate weaker species before challenging stronger ones. If they're allowed to absorb the Astrali's resources and territory, they'll eventually come for us, with more ships, more resources, and more confidence." The Astrali ambassador to Earth, a willowy being named Lumina, stood quietly at the side of the chamber, her skin pulsing with anxious blue patterns. "My people cannot match the Kryvax in combat. We have devoted our civilization to knowledge and harmony. We need your help." After a tense debate, Chairwoman Diallo nodded grimly. "Very well. Admiral Wei, you are authorized to deploy the 5th Fleet to Procyon. Commander Vasquez, given your experience with Astrali communication protocols, you'll serve as liaison officer." As the meeting concluded, Lumina approached Alina, her translucent fingers trembling slightly. "Commander, I must tell you something. The Kryvax, they don't just conquer. They believe that strength is proven by eliminating weakness. They won't leave survivors." Alina placed a reassuring hand on the Astrali's shoulder. "Ambassador, where I come from, Earth, we have a saying. The most dangerous animal is not the strongest or the fastest, but the one that will never give up. The Kryvax are about to learn what happens when you threaten a friend of humanity." Over the next 48 hours, Earth's Fifth Fleet prepared for departure. Though smaller than many alien armadas at just 12 ships, each vessel represented the pinnacle of human ingenuity, forged through centuries of warfare and survival on a planet that had tried to kill them at every turn. On the bridge of the EDF Thermopylae, the fleet's flagship, Alina watched the crew complete final preparations. Unlike the massive, ornate ships of many galactic species, human vessels were compact, utilitarian, and built to withstand conditions that would crush other spacecraft. "Radiation shielding at 200% capacity," reported the engineering officer. "G-force compensators calibrated for combat maneuvers up to 15 G." Admiral Wei nodded approvingly. Humans had evolved on a high-gravity, radiation-soaked planet with extreme weather and thousands of predators. Their ships, like their bodies, were built to endure what would kill most species. "Status of the Helios Protocol?" Wei asked. "Ready for deployment, sir. All ships equipped." Alina looked questioningly at the tactical officer, Captain Reyes, who smiled grimly. "It's a little surprise we developed after studying solar flare patterns on Earth. The Kryvax evolved under a stable star. They've never had to adapt to radiation surges like we have." As the fleet prepared to enter FTL, Alina joined Ambassador Lumina in the observation deck. The Astrali watched with wide, silver eyes as the massive engines powered up. "Will it be enough?" Lumina asked softly. "The Kryvax fleet numbers in the dozens." Alina's expression remained steady as she watched the starfield begin to distort around them. "Ambassador, humanity thrived on a world that tried to kill us every day for millions of years. We survived ice ages, supervolcanoes, meteors, and our own nuclear mistakes. Now we're bringing that world to the Kryvax." The Thermopylae's engines flared to brilliant life, tearing a hole in space-time as the fleet accelerated to faster-than-light speeds. Alina kept her eyes on the swirling vortex ahead, her thoughts with the Astrali fighting for survival light years away. The Kryvax had made a crucial mistake. They had spent generations hunting easy prey, civilizations that had evolved in paradise. They had never faced Deathworlders before. They had never faced humans. And now humanity was bringing a ruthless fleet to answer the distress call. Deathworlders unleashed. The Fifth Fleet emerged from FTL at the edge of the Procyon system, sensors immediately scanning for threats. Alina Vasquez stood on the bridge of the Thermopylae, her breath catching as the main display revealed the scene before them. The beautiful blue-green Astrali homeworld was surrounded by 27 Kryvax warships, their weapons raining destruction on the surface below. "Stealth protocols active," Admiral Wei ordered. "All ships maintain position. Deploy reconnaissance drones." Minutes later, the tactical display updated with detailed scans of the Kryvax fleet. Captain Reyes analyzed the data with narrowed eyes. "Their ships are larger than ours, heavier weapons, but their drive signatures show they're significantly slower. And look at that formation. Textbook orbital bombardment pattern, no variation, minimal perimeter security. They're not expecting resistance," Wei noted. "No scouts. Poor defensive posture. They think they're hunting, not fighting a war." Alina studied the surface scans. "I'm picking up Astrali life signs concentrated in 3 regions. Looks like underground shelters. They're still holding out, but those bunkers won't last against sustained bombardment." Ambassador Lumina's skin had gone almost transparent with distress. "The crystalline cities, they're destroying millennia of history." Wei's expression hardened. Not for much longer. He opened a channel to the fleet. All vessels, this is Admiral Way. Implement Operation Thunderstrike. Task Group Alpha will engage the Kryvax fleet. Task Group Beta will deploy for surface operations. Remember your training. These enemy vessels evolved for low-gravity environments. Hit them hard, hit them fast, and use Earth normal maneuvers. They can't match our tolerances. The human fleet split into formation, 6 ships breaking the way toward the planet, while the remaining 6, led by the Thermopylae, accelerated toward the unsuspecting Kryvax armada. Weapons hot. Y commanded. Activate Helios protocol on my mark. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency. Every movement precise, every order acknowledged instantly. This was humanity at its most focused. Direct descendants of predators who had outlasted everything that Deathworld could throw at them. "Sir," Elena said, "I'm picking up transmissions from the Kryvax command ship. They'd spotted us." On the main display, the Kryvax vessels began to break their bombardment formation, turning ponderously toward the approaching human ships. "Now they notice us," Weiss said with a cold smile. "Helios protocol. Mark." From each human ship, a specialized probe launched, streaking toward the Kryvax fleet before detonating in brilliant flashes that momentarily overwhelmed the view screens. When the light faded, the Kryvax ships appeared undamaged. "Direct hit. Radiation wave propagating," reported the weapons officer. "Electromagnetic pulse successful." The Kryvax vessels suddenly drifted, their engines flickering and weapons systems going dark. Ambassador Lumina looked confused. "What happened?" "The Helios protocol," Elena explained. "A concentrated burst of radiation, similar to a solar flare, coupled with an electromagnetic pulse. Their ships have only basic radiation shielding, because their home system has a stable star. Their electronic systems are temporarily paralyzed. We didn't waste the advantage. All ships, engage at will. Target their propulsion systems, and weapons erase first." The human vessels accelerated to attack speed, pulling maneuvers that would crush most alien life forms. Even with inertial dampeners, the crew felt the G-forces, but humans had evolved under Earth's punishing gravity. They could endure what the Kryvax pilots could not. On the surface, Task Group Beta had breached atmosphere, deploying dropships toward the Astrali shelters, while the larger vessels engaged Kryvax ground forces. Major Diaz led the first team to touch down near the largest Astrali shelter. "Move fast, people," she ordered as her soldiers deployed. "Atmosphere reads as safe for humans. Kryvax breathe the same mix as Astrali. Standard gravity is 0.65 Earth normal. Watch your jumps and adjust weapon sights accordingly." The human troops moved with practiced efficiency, their powered armor allowing them to cover ground quickly in the lower gravity. When they encountered the first Kryvax patrol, the difference between evolved predator and conqueror became immediately apparent. The Kryvax soldiers were tall, armored figures with mandible-like appendages and 4 arms, each carrying advanced weapons. But they moved with careful deliberation in their formations, unprepared for the explosive speed of human assault tactics. "They're used to fighting prey species," Diaz observed as her team outflanked the patrol. "They've never faced predators before." In orbit, the battle had turned decisively. 3 Kryvax vessels drifted powerless, 5 more had been disabled, and the remainder were attempting to regroup. The human ships pressed their advantage, maneuvering in ways that seemed reckless to most spacefaring species, but came naturally to pilots who had trained in Earth's crushing gravity and chaotic weather systems. "The Kryvax command ship is targeting the Thermopylae," Elena reported, watching as the massive alien vessel brought its main cannon to bear. Wade remained calm. "Evasive pattern Delta. Bring us in close, closer than they'd expect." The Thermopylae rolled and accelerated directly toward the Kryvax flagship, spiraling to avoid energy blasts while closing to a range that would have been suicidal for most ships. "They're not designed for close combat," Wei explained as Lumina watched with wide eyes. "Their weapons are calibrated for long-range bombardment of defenseless targets. Get inside their effective range, and they can't track us. The human vessel executed a maneuver that pressed everyone against their harnesses, swinging beneath the Kryvax ship and firing precision strikes at the larger vessel's engine nacelles. The alien ship tried to respond, but its turning rate was too slow, its crew struggling against G-forces that the humans weathered with grim determination. On the surface, Major Diaz's team had reached the Astrali shelter. The bioluminescent aliens emerged cautiously, their skin pulsing with patterns of hope and fear as human soldiers established a defensive perimeter. "We need to move you to our ships," Diaz explained, the Astrali leader, a being whose skin glowed with calm blue patterns despite the chaos. "Earth has sent extraction teams to all major shelters." "The Great Archive," the Astrali said urgently. "It contains our entire history, all our scientific knowledge." The Kryvax targeted it specifically. Diaz didn't hesitate. "Delta Team with me. We're making the detour." The battle raged for 3 more hours before the Kryvax finally broke. Their remaining ships, 7 of the original 27, engaged emergency FTL drives, fleeing the system with catastrophic damage. On the Thermopyla's bridge, Admiral Way watched them go with the expression of a predator deciding whether to pursue wounded prey. "Let them run," he finally said. "Let them tell the others what happened here." The aftermath was sobering. 2 human vessels had been destroyed, 3 more damaged. Over 100 human lives lost. But the Astrali homeworld had been saved, along with over 20 million civilians and much of their cultural heritage, thanks to Major Diaz's team securing their archive. 3 days later, as recovery operations continued, a Kryvax communication vessel appeared at the edge of the system under a flag of truce. Elena stood with Admiral Way and Ambassador Lumina as the Kryvax overlord appeared on the view screen, its mandibles clicking with barely contained rage. "You interfered in matters that did not concern your species," the overlord said, its translator rendering the clicks and hisses into flat, emotionless speech. "The Astrali are weak. They have no right to the resources they possess. They are under our protection now," Way replied simply, "as are all their colony worlds." The overlord's compound eyes flashed. "Who are you to challenge the Kryvax Imperium? You are newcomers to the stars. You know nothing of galactic power." Elena stepped forward. "We're humans. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day for millions of years. We survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, supervolcanoes, and thousands of predators. We built civilizations in deserts, tundras, and rainforests. We split the atom before we learned to cooperate." She paused, meeting the alien's gaze. "You've spent generations hunting species that never learned to fight back. That was your mistake. Is this a declaration of war?" the overlord demanded. Admiral Way smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "No, this is a warning." The Astrali sent a distress call. Humanity answered. "If you target them again, or any other peaceful species in this sector, we won't stop when you retreat. We'll follow you home." After the transmission ended, Ambassador Lumina approached Elena, her skin pulsing with patterns of wonder and gratitude. "In all our history, we never understood species like the Kryvax, or like humans. How can such different paths of evolution exist?" Elena looked out at the stars, thinking of Earth. Beautiful, hostile Earth that had forged humanity into what they were. "The universe isn't fair, Ambassador. Some species evolve in paradise and learn to create. Others evolve as conquerors and learn only to take." She turned to the Astrali with a smile. "But some of us evolve on Deathworlds and learn to protect what matters." As the Fifth Fleet prepared to depart, leaving a permanent defense station in orbit around the Astrali homeworld, word spread throughout the sector. When the peaceful Astrali sent a distress call, humanity had answered with a ruthless fleet and unwavering resolve. The message to the galaxy was clear. Earth's children might be newcomers to the stars, but they carried the legacy of their homeworld with them. And that made all the difference.